Happiest, #1 place to go for premium CBD that's not going to break your bank. It's locally owned and sourced here in Utah. It is safe for work, meaning there's no THC, so you don't have to stress about that with your employer. And they have something for everyone. And I'm personally using their #2 broad spectrum. Makes me a little bit more focused, peps me up a little bit. I feel great on it. Body feels good on it. It's good for recovery. Head over to happiestmed.com. That is HEPIUSMED.com. Go check out some of their products. There might be one great for you. I'm excited to have you on.
Thank you.
Kailey Butt.
I'm nervous.
Nervous. I think we're going to have a good time because we were talking just prior about living in Utah and how absolutely weird it is.
Sure.
And so I guess where to start, did you grow up around Davis County?
So I lived in Kaysville, which I say is the capital of Mormon USA, pretty much. So, yeah. Davis County.
Davis County, the capital. It really is, and we have such a wide spectrum of we could drive from here. I'm in Woods Cross, for those of you who don't know, and if you want to look in Utah maps, you can figure it out. We could drive 10 minutes up and get to $1 million famous people houses. Then we could go 10 miles south and find more $1 million houses. But then if we go 10 minutes, if we go 10 minutes north, $1 million house, 10 minutes south, we're going to get into people who are actually not doing well.
Yep.
And it's just such a weird...
Sheltered. It's very sheltered in Davis County, for sure.
Yeah. And I just think it's such a weird... I think the word's dichotomy when you go to public places where you can literally have the richest of the rich, very LDS, interacting with the poorest of the poor.
Yeah.
Non.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird... I don't know. The experiences are just so unique here.
Yes. I agree. It's crazy.
Now, to get some backstory, you did grow up LDS.
Yeah.
Correct? And where... I guess we could start with, how was growing up in the church for you?
So, it was really good. I had the coolest friends in the ward. And I was in seminary class presidency, and I was pretty passionate about it. So it was a good experience for me up until about I left high school, I'd say.
Okay.
Until I started questioning things, and I think for the longest time I stayed in the church because of my close friends that were going to church, and I just hung out with them and went to church with them. But,
for sure.
Yeah. So
was it one of those things? Because I haven't. That's the sad and beauty part about having discussions about this is every story is different, but there does seem to be a point where everyone starts questioning.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if you kind of get told not to question and you just have to follow what you're being told. Because I really think that regardless of what you're doing in your life, there's a point where you question your actions.
Yeah.
And I just think that some people, that questioning is really heavy on their mind.
Yeah.
And then some people, it's whatever. So do you think that just might be the turning point for some individuals?
Well, I think for a lot of them, yeah. Mine's kind of different to where being so sheltered in Davis County, and then I got a real job and I met people that weren't Mormon. And I've always, have been scared of them almost because I'm being taught they drink coffee, they worship our Lord and Savior Satan.
Yeah.
And so I remember going in and I was nervous to be around them. And then I made my first gay friend there. That's when it hit me, where I'm they're talking about, someone not going to the same level as heaven because they're gay, And then I had a stepbrother come out gay, and I just, I think that was really the turning point. Because I was if this is, Christ, treat everyone with kindness, and I'm why is it
different for someone
who just... different, So.
We'll get into TikTok, and I know you've had quite the experience on TikTok, but I actually heard one of the most beautiful things that I've ever heard on TikTok the other day. And I can't remember who was arguing with who. I think it was a younger, maybe teenage, young adult girl arguing with her grandmother. Mm-hmm. And she pretty much said, like, the younger kid, she worded it different, but along the lines of saying, I find it disturbing that your generation fell in love with genitalia and you're getting mad at us for falling in love with each other's souls. And that hit me really hard because, like, you know, like you, I've made so many friends who are in, you know, the LGBTQ community, and I'm like, and I hear the stories of living here in Utah and not very disturbing things. Yeah. And it just, at what point do we realize that we're all just individuals? What the, why does it fucking matter what we do?
And it's just, I mean, growing up, I thought I had that in my head, like, treat everyone with kindness, and then, you know, I'd hear these little things about, you know, gay people or people that drink alcohol or tattoos or whatever, you know. But still just being so uncultured and being stuck in the suburbs of Mormonism, just to say, I guess. It was, like, really mind-opening when I started to get with people and meet people now. Because I almost like was brainwashed in my head to, like, know when I met someone that wasn't Mormon, like, that there's something wrong with them.
Yeah, it's that be nice but be concerned.
Yeah, and I think that was just in my head for so long, and I think when I started meeting people, I kind of was like, why am I thinking like this? Like, you know, some of the best people I know have tattoos or are gay, and I'm like, and some Mormons I know are horrible people, and I'm like, I've tried to come up with this weird, like, I don't know, theory on just humans in general. I've always grew up and had this understanding of, like, let's say I meet Joe, okay? Let's say Joe is a Christian who is married and whatever, has all these passions or whatever. Let's say Joe's a dick to me. Okay. And he doesn't like me, he disrespects me. Instead of, humans almost have this nature where it's like, well, Joe's a Christian, so I guess every Christian must be bad. Yeah. What if it's just Joe's bad? Yeah. And then we get in this weird, like, thing where, like, it happens a lot in Utah. I don't know if it's just, like, people have one bad experience and now they just have to make everybody who's involved in that bad. Yeah. I mean, I've always hung out and been around people who are more counterculture-ish around Utah. Yeah. And never, like, none of my friends have ever done any ill will, and we're all drink, smoke. Most of them are tattooed up. Like, you know, I don't understand where it comes into play. Like, those things, like, are they bad for our body? That's a different argument. Maybe some stuff is, maybe some stuff isn't. But that shouldn't really be a concern for somebody else. Shouldn't be a factor of how good of a person you are.
Yeah. You know, if someone wants to come home and they decide that they're a drinker, but they just mind their business and still continue to be a productive, nice person in their daytime, why would it make them bad?
I remember when I had my first sip of alcohol, I was like 19, and I was so guilty. And I remember thinking, why am I feeling guilty? Like, I know I'm a good person. But it's just because I grew up with that in my head, like, you're not a good person if you do this. And so I was guilty. It took a long time. Like, even today, like, still now, like, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo, and I'm like, oh, what is my Mormon family? And then I'm like, I just gotta live for myself, you know? But
I think that's the best thing that's come from any of this for me, because, like, you know, my backstory, for those of you who haven't heard, like, I grew up with, I wasn't religious. My parents gave me a full freedom to do whatever I want as far as my religious following. And when I finally started studying and researching the LDS Church and stuff, I just was like, oh, it's not for me. Yeah. And a lot of my peers would refuse to, like, answer questions that may have came off as, like, I never wanted to be confrontational.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
If they were curious questions that went against the line, it was always met with, you know, not great results. Yeah. And I always wondered if that was just something that was built in. Like, you get to a point where if you get asked certain questions, you have to, like, avoid that person. I've lost friends from
Yeah.
conversations.
I think being younger and being taught like you should not be around these people. Like, be nice to them, but if someone doesn't have the same values and whatever as you, don't be around these people. And I think if you start to bring that up with them and just talk about and give questions or whatever, and they're like, oh, I can't with this person because they're not Mormon like I am.
I do have to say, on the flip side, I do get along with a lot of LDS people, and I've lived in a couple different states and been involved in vast amounts of groups, and I do have to say, like, I feel very welcomed, even though I am not. I feel welcomed as in, like, I could probably go over to my neighbors and ask them for a cup of sugar or dinner if I was desperate.
Yeah.
And that's, you can't find that in a lot of states.
No.
But I don't feel, I've always sort of felt like a, not resentment, but outsider vibe, which is fine. I put that on myself, not putting myself in the church, but it's sad that there's people who feel that way but can't deal with it well.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I always say, like, Mormons can be toxic certain ones, especially in Utah.
Absolutely.
But there is a whole lot of good ones. Like, a lot of my family is still Mormon. I don't have anything against them or anything. And, like, I've had friends that are, like, anti-Mormon. Like, we hate them. We don't want them part of our lives. And I'm like, well, like, let's say someone that was gay and was like, well, we just don't want them part of our lives. Like, I'm like, so if the church is, saying you can't, we don't like you, we don't want to have you in here, like, what are you doing? You're doing the same to them.
Yeah.
Like, you're being a hypocrite, So, like, I think if you want to leave the church and, be anti-Mormon, that's fine, but do it with kindness.
Yeah.
So.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I think, and this is my personal opinion, but we've already seen some hints at backpedaling as far as, like, their, beliefs on the LGBTQ community. Yeah. They're still fighting against it, but there has been some hints at more acceptance.
Yeah.
And I really think that, what's up, Go Eagles? Church, the LDS Church, Mormons in Utah and around the world. Which we can get into that. Mormons outside of Utah are vastly
totally different.
Whole different type.
Totally different. Yeah.
I think that, and this is me kind of being more of a, I guess you could say, an asshole for lack of better words. I think that they will backpedal into acceptance because of our generation's pressure on them not, like, it's not okay. And our generation is pretty solid on making sure that shit like that gets taken care of, or at least we're trying. And I think that they will make a full backpedal on that. But then that gets into question, are they backpedaling to save face, or are they backpedaling because they actually want to learn and change their outlook? One
of the first things I had problems with, I think I was in high school, was when I learned about how they didn't let black people have the priesthood. I think the 70s, until the 70s or 80s.
Late.
And, like, I'm like, why? Like, and I'd ask my seminary teacher, and he's like, it was just God's plan. It's just God's plan. And I'm like, but why?
Yeah.
Like, why? And so that was a big one for me, where it's like, treat everyone with equality, but then you
don't allow.
And so I just wonder if that's the same thing's going to happen with gay people. You know?
Well, and then, I've found out through experience that you don't talk to LDS women about priesthood.
Yeah.
Because it's
a men's thing.
Yeah, that's a men's thing. Why is it only a man thing to be able to be involved in teaching and spreading the word? Like, I know women can go on missions now.
Yeah.
But why can't they be involved in all the other interactions? I feel like that's very...
when they come up with these, scriptures or reasons or whatever, and that's fine, but just, it goes back to the whole equality thing, you know? Like, it's so contradictory. You get taught, be equal to everybody, and then, but women can't be equal in the church. And
you follow rules, or you kind of get pushed to the side.
Yeah.
I just think it's such an interesting... I think where I have a problem with it is, at least my biggest problem is, if you were to not teach any of their beliefs to an individual until they became of a good thinking age. I like to think like 15 to 18 is right around when you can actually start fully processing life and what's going on. If you were to teach those lessons and teach them what a lot of the fundamentals are, you can still create a wonderful human being, but they're going to look at some of the shit and be like, what? Why do we believe this way? But when you start at such a young age, when you get told something's right for so long, even though you don't realize that it could be wrong, you just automatically think like, oh yeah, I've been told this, it has to be right. Everyone in my community tells me it has to be right. Where the reality is, you're just hearing the same group. If you don't learn other perspectives, how are you supposed to know what's right and what's wrong?
You're surrounded by these people for, your whole life, hearing these things, and you trust these people and you love these people, so automatically you're like, yeah,
for sure, it makes sense. Because I always, if you use the analogy, let's say you grew up in a house full of racist people, probably going to be racist because that's all you're going to hear and learn. Same ideology, just different base, but same type of concept. If you don't look at outside perspectives, you're just going to go with what you have learned and been taught. Now, to be proactive with it, you can be a very happy individual in the church. I know a lot of my good friends who are happily married, successful, loving their life. And if that's your path, take it. But if you're, like a lot of individuals where you're questioning and you're afraid to take that step, you should just know that there's a lot of accepting people on the other side who will take you in.
For sure.
Who will help you go through the emotions and who will help you figure out what you need to do in your life to find happiness. Because it's out there, they just don't make it apparent.
They don't give you like a path, really. They're like, you have to do this.
Which is a bummer.
It is a bummer. And I'm like, I feel so blessed that I was able, and I'm proud of myself for getting out of it. It's a hard thing when that's all you've known your whole life, and it was scary, but I'm so much happier than I was because now I can choose my religion, and I wouldn't call myself religious anymore. I just believe in being kind to people and having integrity. That's my religion, but I feel so blessed that I was able to discover that on my own. And it took a long time for my mom to accept that, because I love the lady. She's the best mom in the whole world, but she's very Mormon. And it made her cry when I had that talk with her, which was sad. But I was like, if you just have to, this is me. I accept you as a Mormon, and this is me, and I want you to accept me too. And she has. So. Good. Yeah.
That's always the scary side of it. Is you hear the horror stories of a child saying, hey, this isn't for me, and the next thing you know, they're kicked out, lose all family, they get bad talked to the church, so even if they want to go back, now there's a stigma on them. And then those decisions that adults make on kids who are not of age, I don't know if they just don't realize how impactful they are. If your 18-year-old comes in and they're like, hey, I'm not about this, and you think it's great to kick them out, okay, you're still not making a great decision, but at least they're an adult and can kind of go and at least hopefully figure something out. If you do that to a 15 or 16-year-old kid, who can't even deal with their own hormones, but not only understand what it is to be an adult and to survive, you're gonna cause a lot of damage.
And getting that from the self-esteem of being from your family being, oh, you're a bad person now, you feel bad about yourself. And I've seen people that are just have depression and all kinds of side effects from leaving the church, especially from family that don't accept it, don't talk to them anymore.
One of the most it was sad and interesting situations in my life, and I'll spare a lot of details just to keep keep it vague, but I had met somebody on a dating app who was actively leaving the church or had left the church. I can't really remember. And I could just tell that there was like weird pent up frustrations in all aspects of their life.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that there was an actual diagnosed anxiety based around being in the Mormon church.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard of that until like maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And this girl had it, and I did not realize how much it could make someone suffer.
Yeah.
And how much it could like really fuck up their life.
Oh yeah. For me, I consider I left the church when 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Even to this day, just random things that, it's still if I drink alcohol or even with the tattoo thing,
yeah,
I still get anxiety about it. And I think just growing up in the church, they just put that in your head over and over and over, and it's hard to get over. I feel like I'll have a little part of that with me my whole life where I kind of feel guilty, and it
mm-hmm.
sucks.
I've tried to put my shoes in understanding why they do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really and I've made this disclaimer, I guess, on previous podcasts. I'm not trying to take people away from the church.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bash or hurt the church in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Just perspectives. When I think of them drilling in the minds of, kids and young adults and teenagers, we'll say marijuana is bad, okay, which to them it is. It's really bad. I almost wonder if they know that if you go and start smoking weed, it might put you in this weird euphoria, happiness, or even deep thought that could lead to you questioning, that will lead to you potentially leaving.
Yeah.
I really think that's why they are so against it, is because now I get it, you could definitely smoke too much weed and it's not good for you. It won't have health effects on you, but
but at the same time, in the Mormon church, so they're you can only have caffeine if it's cold or whatever.
Yeah.
Drinking a gallon of Dr. Pepper a day, I do that. That's not healthy either, know?
Right.
So I thought about that before, that's just so bad for you. And I'm yeah, but you're allowed to have things that are also bad for you.
Right. And I never understood that mentality. Why is coffee any different than a Dr. Pepper? Because it has what's... So can you, in the Mormon religion, can they drink cold coffee?
No.
Coffee's completely off, right?
Any kind of coffee.
Because it's a stimulant.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's I remember my first sip of coffee and how guilty I felt.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's get into some more, do you remember, I asked Cassidy this question, your first rated R movie? Was that ever a big thing in your house?
Not really.
No?
Well, I mean, kind of, but I don't think my mom would have been happy if she knew we were watching them, but I'd go see rated R movies and I still felt strong in the church,
Okay.
It was just certain things that really, I don't know, coffee and weird things like that made me feel guilty, but movies for some reason I was okay with. I think it just varies with people.
Yeah, and that is an interesting part about it. Is what is I don't want to use the word taboo, but I guess kind of what would be a weird we're not supposed to do this, but we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I always think of movies because I know for a lot of people having that first rated R movie was super impactful, or first tea or coffee is really impactful. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of I guess for you, I'm curious, what was besides having a gay friend, realizing okay, he's great,
mm-hmm.
why is it that he's treated different for his sexual orientation?
Yeah.
Was there anything growing up where you were kind of
For a long time, not that I can remember, because it's just how I knew things. This was right, this was wrong, But I think, especially in high school, when I heard other people start questioning things, and it made me question things on my own. Especially when I learned the black people thing
mm-hmm.
in high school, that really kind of shook me. And just I think also what shook me was like them like staying so true to this book that was written, you know, however many years ago. I don't know. It made me question too, like, but I really didn't actually, you know, start to really sit and think about questioning things like maybe this isn't for me or whatever until after I graduated.
After you graduated?
Yeah.
Now I know that, so how the men have to go about it is when you graduate, then you can now go on your mission when you're 18. Mm-hmm. Did that ever cross your mind of going on a mission? Because I know, the women can go on missions at 18 as well now, right?
Yeah, but they can only go for a year and a half.
A year and a half, right.
Which I don't understand, but I don't know. So I'm a type 1 diabetic, and so I could never honestly really go on a mission because I've had issues with that, but like, I used to have thoughts of maybe going on a mission, but after I graduated, I was like, no. My brother went on a mission, and he loved it, and he learned a lot from it. But, like, he came back, and he is not as Mormon as he was. Like, he's still Mormon, but he was surrounded with people. He went to Boston, so he's surrounded with people that there's not a lot of Mormons out there, and he learned a lot.
I really think that, and this is going to sound funny, but when it gets explained, the podcast I just did, we talked about, like, jokingly saying, if you never work in food industry, your opinion's invalid. Kind of saying, like, you learn a lot about humans when you have to work in the food industry.
Yep.
And I've seen at least a small trend so far of a lot of people who start questioning in, like, the 16 to 18 range had a job in the food industry.
Yeah.
Because you're going to meet individuals who either smoke pot or who aren't LDS.
Yeah.
And you're going to hear about their problems.
That was like my first job. I was a dog groomer for 5 years. That's where I met Bella, actually. But I was the only Mormon person in that whole store that worked there.
Really?
Yeah. I like thank PetSmart almost that job, because as much as I hated it, but I thank them because I was opened up to people that I was kind of almost scared of and like judged them. And yeah, no, I agree. Like, you meet certain people in jobs and stuff that really open your mind. And
I'm surprised that's something that they don't try and say you shouldn't do, is like get jobs in like your teenage years as an LDS member, because, you know, we can all agree that when you're like 16, 17, 18, you're a little bit more able to be influenced by others around you. Yeah. Because you're still trying to find like your identity and all that type of stuff. So like, I'm surprised that they're okay with, like, because I know for a fact, and I don't feel bad about this, but I also feel kind of like maybe I pushed the line a little bit. I worked at a job previously, and there was a lot of younger Mormon kids who would work because it's just the area we live in. Yeah. And I remember having lots of deep conversations about, you know, my thoughts and beliefs on it. And I don't take credit for this by any means, but multiple kids had left the church by the time they left that company.
Yeah.
And I think that if they just hear outside perspectives at least once or twice, and they start kind of thinking, oh, well, why do we do this? Or why do they tell us to do that?
Yeah.
It kind of opens up some eyes.
Because you grow up with all these people, you know, like you saying you have to have this opinion because we have this opinion. So when you finally meet someone that doesn't, you're really like, oh, okay. Then you just sit and think and think and think and think, and questions and questions. And,
it's definitely a mob mentality. Bieber says your hair is super cute.
Bieber, thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to know, like, the female's perspective of, like, how church was for you. Like, was there... Because I've heard a couple guys' perspectives, like, you know, going through, like, the different levels of, like, becoming a priest and a teacher and getting all these different things.
Yeah.
But I don't know very much about, like, the woman's perspective of going through the church up until, like, your, like, teenage years.
So, like, you start out going to young women, which
Mhm.
is, you know, boys do their thing, and I literally can't even remember. Like they go from like Melchizedek to
Word, yeah.
words. I don't even know anymore. But the young women did that too. But it was always, you know, like the men had the greater power in the church.
Mhm.
But back then, like it was okay to us. Like that was just in our head. So I think, you know, it was very underlying sexist, you know,
Right.
being a girl growing up, but and I didn't realize that until I left and I kind of looked back, but like I had a good experience in the church, and I don't hate the Mormon church or anything, but yeah, like I was lucky I had a pretty good experience being a girl growing up, which is rare because I've heard other stories of girls and it's sad.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
It really is. There's definitely, you know, there's jokes about certain positions that, like, you know, you always, like, you could always come up with, like, a priest and a rabbi and a whatever walking. There's always, like, messed up jokes. But at the end of the day, all jokes contain true shit at some core of it.
Yep.
And, you know, there's been news outlets around here in the past couple of years where we hear some really, really awful, evil shit.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's, what do you do? Like, how do we stop it?
And I'm so thankful for people speaking up because people didn't. They just didn't do it. And now people are, I think it's just the younger generation are feeling brave enough to speak up and really open other people's minds, you know.
You know, I think a lot of it does have to do with social media in a way. Like, I know social media is a whole topic on itself, whether it's positive or negative, but I do have to say, like, it's nice to at least have a platform where individuals can open up about stuff like that specifically. Yeah. And not, like, there will be people who are there to take care of them. Yeah. And, you know, and whether that be, like, emotional help, mental health help, or even just, like, listening. Because sometimes, like, listening is, you know, a way more important thing to some than we even realize.
Oh,
and, you know, I know that on Twitter not too long ago there was a trending hashtag, Utah rapists. I don't know if you saw that.
I knew 2 people on that list.
I knew several.
Yeah. And
for those of you who don't know or aren't here in Utah, how long ago do you think it was? Like mid last year?
Probably.
Yeah, somewhere in 2020. They're trending on Twitter, or at least local trending. It was a hashtag Utah rapists, and what it was is, I wish I had the names of the individuals who started it, but they basically just started saying, hey, you need to watch out for this guy. Mm-hmm. And then it started this trend of just girls coming out and saying all these different guys who had, like, you know, from really bad to, like, making them feel uncomfortable, like a wide range of things, and kind of saying, hey, you know, be careful out there. Yeah. And I don't know if that was before or after the one girl got murdered. Well, there's been 2.
There's been 2.
Yeah, there was the one that was over at Hatch Park who got picked up. That one that's scary shit.
It's like you hear about stuff like that, like murders and stuff, and you're like, oh, that's so sad. But then, like, one of my best friends was best friends with her, that girl that died, and I'm like, oh, like, Jesus Christ, like, that's close, and it's like terrifying.
I remember the first time I drove past Hatch Park after hearing it, and I got, like, the fucking chills. I was like, oh my god, she was like, this is where they met. Ugh. And then there was the second one, because I don't know much about the first one. It was some sort of meetup, and the second one was a Tinder date or something along those lines. Yep. A Tinder match, and then she went over to his house, and then whatever.
You're gonna lose your mind. That guy that you're just talking about was my best friend growing up. What? Who I went to church with and everything. He had slept over at my house multiple times. He was in my ward. To carpool together. Yeah. Yep. I have all the deets on that if you ever want.
Holy okay, well, let's unbox that a little bit. Because that's pretty terrifying.
You were like saying that. I was like, that sounds... I'm like, yeah! That was one of my best friends.
Okay, so how, like, there's a lot. I was not expecting that. So to give the story, it was a Tinder match it was a girl and she matched with him or vice versa. And then I guess they were going to meet up, and I believe the implication was hook up.
Yeah, so just a little backstory. He was married and had a little girl, and then he got into alcohol and drug problems really bad. After they divorced, he just didn't handle it well at all. So he's living by himself. And a bunch of coworkers chill out, bro.
Sorry.
A bunch of coworkers at his job, said that he would talk about like killing people jokingly or stabbing people or jokingly.
Oh jeez.
So I guess he had matched with her on Tinder, and then she came over and they went to a bar and like got a drink, and then came back and did the nasty. Mm-hmm. And then I guess they were just like on the floor sleeping, and he woke up and choked her out until she was unconscious, and then went to the kitchen and grabbed a knife and stabbed her, I think 12 times, until she bled out. He waited until she bled out, and then he called the cops.
So he was just completely...
He was nuts.
Yeah,
he just
psychotic.
And it's so weird because, like, I'm really obsessed with true crime. And,
same.
Oh, like, I listen to My Favorite Murder all the time. I don't know if you listen.
One of the best.
Oh, the best. And so you always hear, like, from the victim side, and I'm like, I'm in this weird situation where I have cared for this person my whole life, and now he just murdered someone. And you never think about the murderer's family. Like, his family is the sweetest people. Now they're always going to be like, oh, that's the family of the guy that murdered the girl, So it's been weird and a lot.
How? Okay. Yeah, because that's all. Did that, like, how did you deal with that? Like, because I mean, that's pretty. Now, I grant it, like, maybe his mental break happened long after you guys, but still, like, having that guy, like, in your house and close to you and, like, sleeping.
Yeah, I've thought about it, too. But it's weird because he was the nicest. Like, he was popular. Everyone loved him. Like, he was great. Like, everyone loved him, and so... And then after high school, I didn't really keep in contact with him. And I always think, like, if I did, could that have been me? And that's such a heavy thing.
Terrifying.
And I remember posting on... I follow, like, a My Favorite Murder fan group on Facebook.
Yeah.
I posted... All they post about is, like, oh, this murder is so sad. And I'm like, I just need to talk because, like, I feel guilty for feeling sympathy for the family, and because all you hear about is how horrible it is and whatever. And I'm like, I'm in such a weird situation where
that's the whole weird. Family, and not that you. Oh man,
and that doesn't excuse anything.
No.
But like, I feel so bad for his family, and I'm like sad for him that it came to that, and like, obviously I'm devastated for the girl and her family. Like, I can't even imagine, but it's just such a weird situation to be in.
And speaking of Utah culture, and pardon my language, well, I don't know, you swore.
Don't pardon it.
Fuck you if you're a victim shamer.
Oh,
that was something that I heard a lot, like, oh, she shouldn't have been out doing that type of shit. Fuck you. Those people who have that mentality, bottom of the barrel. Bottom of the barrel.
Nope. I mean, honestly, I think that's a big, tying it back to LDS Church, I think that's a big thing with them, too. Like, if someone sexually abuses you, it's because you wore shorts above the knee. Like,
If anyone can look themselves in the mirror and say that and believe it, they have a lot of underlying problems.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Oh, yeah. But it was weird. Like, I remember waking up and my cousin texted me I think the Layton police like tweeted out an announcement about him, and I was like,
God, that is. Have you?
I called my whole family.
Yeah.
I think I made like 20 calls, and I was like shaking. I was like, dude, you'll never guess what happened. Like, just weird. My brother was best friends with him, and it was hard for him for a long time. Like, he was crying. Like,
I mean, has that been like emotionally like still kind of difficult? 'Cause I mean, that's still pretty fresh.
it is. I mean, I've come to terms with it. It's not as like shocking as it is now.
Right.
But I'm still in that weird situation where, like, I don't know if I should feel guilty for feeling sympathy for, not sympathy, but just feeling sad for him, you know, that it came to that. And, like, it's so weird. It's, like, so weird.
That's tough.
It's a weird situation.
I mean, from my perspective, I don't think you should feel guilty because, I mean, you definitely knew him as a different person, and who you knew was a great person to you.
Yeah.
It is sad that anyone gets to that point.
Yeah.
You know, I imagine that was building up for a long time, and you know, could have someone helped him? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
and it just breaks my heart that I think his daughter's like 3. You know, like having.
Is he in prison now?
Yes.
I haven't followed up on it.
I mean, there's not a whole lot of like news on it, but I think he's in prison now. But like, I just feel so bad for his family and his little girl. Like.
Yeah. Well, and even his ex-wife or whatever, like, it's can't be easy for her.
Listening to true crime, you never even really think about their families or how it affects them, really. It's just the victims. And, you know.
I actually do a true crime podcast as well.
I saw that.
Which has been, you know, so, like, I had always been involved and, like, followed a lot of true crime.
Mm-hmm.
Now doing, like, in-depth research on my own, oh, man. There are some days that are really hard.
It's emotionally draining.
Yeah.
It's like emotionally hard to figure out how someone's brain could actually do some of the shit they do.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, I totally get that. Yeah.
We started with John Wayne Gacy, and, you know, huge, I don't want to say icon, that's not the right word, but huge
influencer of the serial killers.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Man, like, when I sat down and started like looking, like going all in, because I try and do like 2 to 5 hours of research, just so I don't like, I feel like that's enough to like discuss.
Yeah.
And man, when you start looking at victim pictures and crime scene pictures,
it just becomes so real.
It really, like, the killer clown really becomes real when you're like, oh fuck, those are the fucking 15 boys that he murdered and did worse.
So I've been like obsessed. I watched, you know, all the documentaries, whatever, and so me and my brother went down to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Vegas.
God, it's on my bucket list.
You gotta do it. It took like an hour and a half to go through. It's so worth it.
Oh.
But I wanted to go because I'm really into paranormal stuff. I go ghost hunting and stuff all the time. So I was like excited to see that, and then I didn't even know they had this, and I walked in and they had a serial killer room. So they had like Ted Bundy's glasses and like a couple of John Wayne Gacy's outfits or whatever. So I got so excited. But then you walk in and you just feel this like, oh good lord.
Just the pressure, like.
Yeah. And there's like Charles Manson's handprint and like all this crazy shit.
Oh, I'm getting the chills.
Yeah, and it's cool, but then you're like, God, this is real.
Yeah.
Like this is like, yeah, there was so much. You gotta go.
Yeah. Next time I go to Vegas, that's happening. Like, we can get on paranormal quite a bit. We'll save it for a little bit, but there's something about, I imagine that him being your old friend, like, had to be super impactful. And there really is something like, when you're either a fan of true crime or like you have to be associated with it in some sort of way or whatever it is, like, it really does add this weird layer of depth to you.
Yeah.
I can't explain it, but like,
I can't either. They're like, I have like my boyfriend, he's like, why do you like that? Like, it's so dark. And it's like, I just find it so interesting how their brain works, and like, it's just, I can't explain it either.
No. And
it's just fascinating.
It is I think it's because it's like, what's the worst thing you can do? Kill someone. How does a serial killer get in the mindset of doing it?
Yeah, what's the timeline to getting there? What's their mental problems? Great, there's so many.
And the weird part is like, there are some trends that are interesting that like some have very similar either upbringings or situations that you're just like, huh? Because like, okay, Gacy, Kemper, Golden State Killer, and there's one other that I researched. All of them, Ted Bundy, highly successful individuals.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Gacy was volunteering. Like, he was a great community member.
All of those people were perfect examples of sociopaths and how easy it was for them to hide it.
Yeah.
And like their whole, it's just a game to them of tricking people into thinking, you know, like, I'm the happy person, like anyone can come to me, you know, like it was just a game to them. And it's just good at it.
Well, like Ed Kemper, for example, yeah, his is.
Wait, does he have the cauldron? Is that the one with the?
No, he's the co-ed killer.
Oh, the co-ed killer.
The big giant.
Yes. Okay.
What's up, Go Eagles? There are some stories on YouTube. Those guys act like the murder from the show Us. I haven't seen Us.
Oh, that's a doozy.
Oh wait, no, the movie Us.
Yeah, with the scissor.
Yeah, that one was
that's
fucking.
Great
I like
movie.
that one.
That's a good movie.
I also like the first one. Jordan Peele did.
Get Out.
Get Out. That one was. I
was like, he's a comedian and he wrote these numbers.
You know, he's remaking Candyman.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
The rumor is he got the original actor.
Ooh.
So that could be really good.
Ooh.
Where I was going with Kemper though is like, oh, and the other tie is all four of them either studied police work or were involved.
Yep.
Kemper like tried to get in the police force, got denied, but still hung out with them. Bundy studied it and studied law. Gacy was involved in some form of politics, and so was Bundy. And then the Golden State he did work for the police force.
Yeah.
Are they that intelligent? That's the thing that scares me. Is I think they're all way more intelligent than.
Oh, I think they're some of the smartest people.
Yeah.
But the big, you know, successful ones that killed 20 people, they have to be incredibly smart.
It's just weird because when you read their court cases, right, like a lot of them say like it wasn't them, like they were in a different mindset. And I truly, like, obviously that's like a stereotypical, hey, I'm trying to not seem guilty, but do you think that there's a possibility that they have some weird, like, high-level multi-personality where it is just a switch where they can be John Wayne Gacy, the funny-go-lucky community member, but then, like, just he wakes up and he's like, well, I gotta murder.
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, I think there is some, you know, that have a switch that are, like, will switch and be like, oh, you gotta kill people. And then, like, I'm good the other day. But I do genuinely believe most serial killers are sociopaths. Mm-hmm. So they know what they're doing the whole time. Yeah. You know, it's scary. Like, they know, and they know how to protect themselves from it and put a good face on. And...
Yeah, true crime is just, I don't know. I'm surprised that there's still people who don't get interested by it because it's so fascinating to, like, just watch and be like, these are humans, like, because you're watching it and sometimes they seem like a fucking movie, like a fake movie, and then you're like, oh wait, this was only in like 1980. Yeah. What the fuck? Mm-hmm. You know, and like every Utah, and I have family that loosely were involved with Bundy, you know, and like, that's real. Like, yeah, like we're one of, I've told this story because like everyone has a Bundy story. My grandma lived up by Bountiful Junior High, and kind of how their cul-de-sac subdivision worked, it was like a circle, right, with outlets. Her house was here. I always forget her name, which is disrespectful, but the family that was back here, the Kins, were kitty corner backdoor neighbors to them. And the one Kent daughter is one of the bodies that they were never able to find that Ted Bundy claimed he killed. And my great grandma, who's passed away now, I remember she would call, her name was Martha, the mother, daily because they were friends growing up. And I wasn't alive during Bundy, but I just remember her always talking about Martha Kent, like her being her friend. And it didn't dawn on me until I was, 3 or 4 years ago that she was talking to the Kent daughter who Ted Bundy had murdered.
I remember getting really interested in it, and then I'm like, I should like ask people because Bundy was here for a while, and so I started asking, and then like it really became real because like one of my good friend's mom, she went on a date with Bundy.
What?
But he wanted to pick her up, and she's like, "No, I'll meet you there." Went in, got creepy vibes, and she left. So she didn't leave with him or anything, luckily. But it's just crazy.
You know, and I do an Instagram for the true crime show, and like I just typical Instagram for true crime. I'll post serial killers and facts and all that, and that's what I've heard a lot about. Is like people are like, "Man, I grew up during that time. Like, you know, when it was going on, like we were scared to go outside."
Yeah. And
like it didn't dawn on me until I started talking about or like thinking about the Ted Bundy stuff with my grandma and stuff. Like, I can't even imagine how they felt.
Put yourself in their shoes, and you're like, "Oh."
Because there was jokes in my great grandmother's house that I remember as a kid, where they would always say, "Make sure you close your blinds so no one's peeking in."
Yeah.
And I always thought I didn't get it, but now it's a fucking Ted Bundy joke. They were making jokes about Bundy staring at my fucking great grandmother changing, and it was like a ha ha ha, but like it fucking really happened. Like who knows? He could have been stalking their house, and there just was no girls.
Do you watch Ghost Adventures?
Yes, big time.
Okay, so when they came to the Bountiful house, the Ted Bundy house, I waited outside while they were investigating because I wanted to meet them. Which I actually made really good friends with their security guard who works at the Haunted Museum. I'll give you his information after. He'll hook you up. But I like that house is so creepy. It was like the creepiest house ever, but like it makes it feel so real when you drive by these places that he actually happened. Like when you go to Viewmont, you're like, shit. Like
this is right here.
He was, you know, you hear serial
we could drive over there and be there in less than 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it's insane when you like really get into it and then go to these places and like you gotta go to the Haunted Museum, dude.
Oh, I know.
That room is insane. Yeah,
it's been on my list since I heard about it.
Yeah,
and I just did you get to see the Dybbk Box that apparently Post Malone touched and it fucked up his whole shit?
Yeah, they post that clip all around the room. So
yeah,
watch them do it. But
so when the Dybbk Box stuff, because I remember, was it TikTok or YouTube? There was a viral video of a guy opening one in his house, and if he faked it, wonderful fake.
Yeah,
and he had like the whole history of it, and like, you know, opened it up, and like a couple weird things happened when he opened it up. So my friends and I bought one. It's in this room.
Shut up.
Yeah. It's in that box over there. But kind of a little weird thing happened with it, for sure. We made like a 20-minute, 30-minute video back when, because I used to have like an office space. We made a 20, 30-minute video of opening it. And like, I won't lie, probably 100% fake. We bought it off eBay. This lady said that it was a credited Dybbk box, one way or the other. When it showed up, it just looks like chunks of wood that someone poured wax on. Okay? So probably not real. But when we finally opened it, it definitely, I don't know if our nerves were just getting to us because we're like, oh, this is crazy. Definitely felt weird in that room. And then, like, something shifted.
Did you do it in this room?
No. Office room, different room. Something shifted, and we were kind of like, that was weird. We didn't think anything of it.
I don't tell a whole lot of people this, but people think I'm crazy, but I am very connected with spirits and energies, and they're always around me. And I will tell you, when I walked in this room, I felt something. Not necessarily bad, but like, and it was over here. Yeah, but like over here, like. Ooh, I want to see it.
Okay, I'll grab it. The other interesting thing that has happened in this room specifically, Ouija board sessions.
Okay.
Now, we have not had any successful communications with Ouija boards here.
Yeah.
But being dumb individuals who don't really know the proper ways to use them, there could have been potential of where we did get success other places that got brought here.
I guarantee you 100% if you were to do that in front of me, something would happen.
The Ouija board?
Yeah, people who ever go ghost hunting with me always want to go with me because something happens whenever I'm there.
Sorry for the microphone. It's probably loud.
It's my fault. I asked to see the spooky box.
That was probably really loud. I think it's still over here. Well, there's the Ouija board.
Oh, that's spooky. Never done a Ouija board.
I don't even, because you're not supposed to put the planchette with it,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't even know where that's at.
Yeah. But like, I grew up always kind of connecting with spirits or whatever, and I thought I was just crazy. Like, I'd walk into rooms, I could feel if they were like, male or female, or, you know. Hold on.
So touch at your own risk if you want.
Yep.
And you should be able to just pop the top off. And that's the wax that we kept in there. Feel weird at all?
A little bit.
A little bit?
I don't feel like evil though. Like, it has an energy, but it's not evil. It's got a lot of energy.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. There's something going on with it. I don't think it's evil, but there's something going on with it.
Yeah, we didn't know what we were really buying. And it was kind of like right in that time period where that video was going viral. It was a little bit before the Post Malone thing.
Yeah.
And when we saw that video, we were like, man, we should buy one and open it because it'd be A, great content, B, we were all paranormal nerds, so we just wanted to see if like, and like, I don't know, it turned out to be a decent video, but I think whatever shifted was situational, and then we just kind of like, oh, let's stop recording because like nothing's really happening. Yeah. But it definitely, when it got opened, it definitely felt like either our anxiety peaked expecting something to happen and we just kind of like had that going on, or it did change the energy in the room and we felt that. Because I've been around people who, you know, who can feel energy and, you know, are more in tune to that. I'm not. I've never been able to, except for 2 specific times in my life. That one was kind of a smaller one. The biggest one that I always tell people that I just still to this day can't explain is Skinwalker Ranch. Been there multiple times.
Oh, okay. I want to go so bad.
And I'll show you a picture that trips everyone out. I'll tell the story because I love telling it.
Yeah.
But one of the times I went out there, and this is the only way I can explain it. When we got out, we were kind of looking at the ranch because you can just pull right up to it, like on a side road.
Yeah.
You can look at the ranch. It's not a lot of property, really.
Yeah.
It felt as if like a child was standing on my shoulders. And I don't know what it was. I don't know, you know, because
it was pressure. Could you feel it like the shape of feet though, or was it just pressure?
No, not necessarily the shape of feet, but like I couldn't feel like specifically like marks or like if someone was like grabbing my shoulders, but it just felt like weight, like pushing my shoulders. And like I felt like I was 60, 70 pounds heavier. Yep. But just all on my shoulders. And I could never explain that. And I still to this day, like, I think maybe I was just awkwardly sitting in the car. Because like, you know, when you're in the paranormal world, you try to debunk things that you can't explain because you want for sure evidence. I still to this day can't tell you what that feeling was. And it lasted most of the time I was there.
I totally believe in stuff like that. So,
and
yeah. I've had so many experiences like that.
So let me, while I'm telling the story, I'm going to pull up the picture. Because...
yeah, I gotta see it.
Till this day, I don't know what it is. I don't know why or what or anything. So when you go out to Skinwalker Ranch, it's changed now because it's changed owners. Sorry, let me mute that. It's changed owners, and you used to be able to go down a dirt path, and there would be barriers. There was like 3 barriers, one here, and one here. And you can either kind of drive through the barriers and go right to the front gate where there's like cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
Or you can park behind the barriers. And we parked kind of behind the barriers and we just turned everything off and just kind of sitting there. and we're recording. Now, that video doesn't exist. It was like, that would have had to have been 2013. So 7, 8 years ago.
Yeah.
My buddy Forrest, who used to be the co-host, was in the passenger, or was in the back. My buddy Chandler was in the passenger seat recording. And we kind of heard rustling in bushes next to us. And like, this was like our first big, like, we had gone to a lot of haunted places around Utah, but this was our first, like, this is Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah.
You know, this was before the movie, but there was still, like, everyone talked about, like, this is the place for paranormal, aliens, everything.
Yeah.
And we go out there and we're recording, and we hear some bushes rattling next to us. Like, if I'm sitting here in the driver's seat and you're the passenger, it'd be like right out that window.
Okay.
We heard like bushes rattling. And I panicked because I'm scared to death.
Oh, yeah.
I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I was scared to death, and I hit reverse. Okay. And my buddy Chandler, and this is what the picture's from, I'll show you in a sec, is kind of still recording. And we back up, and I look out the passenger side window. I see these bright white legs, and I about threw up. But hold on, that wasn't anything. It was horses.
Oh, damn.
And they, like, I don't know if you've ever been so scared you think you're gonna puke. I thought I was gonna puke because I just saw these bright white legs, like white as those doors.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god! And then we were like, oh, it's horses. So we kind of hung out for a while, and then we start driving back. My buddy's like, hey, pull the car over. Quiet. Pull the car over. I get the chills.
I'm so excited.
And he's like, look what's on this footage. And this is now, this picture was taken, or this piece of the film was taken from another picture, or from another phone.
Yeah.
So, like, he was holding it, and then we took a picture of his
still
phone.
see it, like... What?
Now this thing right here, it looks like he's like something's holding like that bar.
Or something?
No, that's the reflection of the camera of us taking a picture of his phone. But that looks like a head and like a body.
Not a normal head.
No.
That's for sure. Oh my god.
And
that's insane.
You can kind of see like that was the dirt road.
Yeah. Did you go back and like look?
No, we were scared
shitless. I wouldn't have either. That's crazy.
And we still to this day, like, we sent this off to, I forget his name. There's a really popular UFO guy who's here in Utah. We sent the picture to him.
Yeah.
And the video, and then he says, well, it could be something. But then nothing ever came of it. And through my buddy just having had to have gotten different phones, we don't have I would pay my whole bank account for that footage.
Yeah.
Not because I want to sell it or publish it. I just want to fucking see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want to see that whole video again. Because, like, if that... We've been back, and I'll be honest with you, aside from a Twitch clip, which is freaky, I've never seen anything else.
Yeah.
I've never felt anything else. The pressure on my shoulders was a different trip, but that's all that happened. I didn't see... feel like didn't notice anything, but it's drove me nuts for all these years, wondering if that was like planted there, like do the guards like to fuck with people, or was that,
I doubt it,
was that something that was literally watching us? Because that's what creeps me out. It's not the fact that it's there, that's looking directly at the car.
They can see you and are looking at
and
you.
What was it? Was that whatever that thing was? Maybe it was a person, and it was a weird glare. Like, I've tried to work this out in my head for years. Like,
even if it was a weird glare, I mean, that's pretty crazy. That picture is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I go paranormal investigating with these professionals.
Oh.
In Salt Lake. We go to Fear Factory when it's not running. And I got a Class A EVP on my phone. And it is my prized possession. I make sure I save it everywhere because I don't want that to happen. I do not want to lose this.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. What's up, Savage? How you doing, bud? I'll try and dig up the other thing that we didn't even notice. So we streamed a whole trip from here to Skinwalker Ranch to sitting outside.
How far away is Skinwalker?
3.5 hours.
Oh,
it's a long one. And the problem was the stream didn't turn out great because there's so many spots where you lose connection.
Yeah. Nice.
This video still does well on TikTok. I still get likes. So we're streaming, and this is kind of like the main gate is like over here in the dark, and like we're just kind of on a side gate. I'll post all these videos for listeners later. Sorry, when you get two people who are really into paranormal, you just gotta...
Yeah, just deal with it.
So we didn't even see this happening. This got clipped by someone who was watching the stream. If you look over here, you see something come into frame.
Hey, finna die out here. So yeah, we came out here one time, no cameras really or anything, besides like personal ones. And we saw a lot of shit
and then it just disappears.
Like moving around.
What?
And I don't know. I think it's a bug. Personally,
but the way it moves.
Came out here one time, no cameras really or anything, besides like personal ones. And,
no.
And then it disappears.
No, it's that the way it moves, how it just sits still.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's terrifying. That's so cool.
And in the comments, everyone's like, nobody noticed the orb light move to the top right of the screen. And I honestly, even when I saw this, so what I did is I went on my Twitch clips and just copied everything over. I've been slowly putting them onto TikTok. Yeah. And I just thought like, oh, we're at Skinwalker. Maybe people will think that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't fucking see that until it was on TikTok.
Isn't that the coolest when you go videos and people are like, oh, did you see this? Because like, I grew up experiencing shit like crazy. And I thought I was going crazy, but then to get validated, like that is the most insane, crazy stuff. I gotta see if I can find the clip.
What team do you work with professionally?
I don't like really work with them. I just go with them. Sometimes it's the Grim Ghost Tours. Been with them.
God, I feel like
you can pay $50 and you can go for like 6 hours with them. Like give you all the equipment. It's really fun. They go to like they go to Merker Cemetery. I just took a group of people out to Merker Cemetery.
Yeah.
They go.
I've never been to that one. I've heard it's great.
Go.
Yeah.
I have some crazy stories. I just went like a month ago and I have some crazy stories. But when we went to Merker, so I had a EMF detector in my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
I have one where you have to hold it for 3 seconds for it to turn on. And it was in a like own separate pocket. Nothing could have touched it. And you have to walk up this little kind of hike thing to get up to the graveyard. And it's just me and my sister-in-law walking, waiting for the group to come. And we heard movement in the bushes right next to us. And then EMF went off. And I pulled out my EMF. It's at like 100%.
Oh, shit.
And then we hear footsteps walking away, and it slowly goes down as they're walking away. Yeah. Good stuff. Definitely recommend. But this clip, it's so far away in my Snapchat memory to find it. But this clip, you know, they tell us the #1 rule of ghost huntings: don't whisper. So if you catch a whisper, not you.
Yeah. And
it sounds so clear that it's like, it had to be someone, right? But no, because the whole night we were talking loud like this.
So you don't like get confused.
Yeah. We still don't know what it says. It almost sounds like different language, but
that's not good. Because isn't it, if it's Latin, that's probably...
It wasn't Latin.
No.
I think it was... I don't know. It could be English. It's just... I'll show you. It's weird, but that is definitely a cool place to go if you ever get the chance. There's crazy activity there, too.
Well, man, now we're on the paranormal talk. I have so many questions.
Yeah. I have a million stories if you ever want to hear them.
Paranormal's... It's weird talking about paranormal with people like who aren't in the world, but it has been like such an influential part of my life, and I don't even have like, as far as like experiences go, there's only been maybe four or five that I could still to this day no idea what the fuck. I mean, that picture, one of them,
Yeah.
For sure. The whole Skinwalker.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, I don't even know if there's even services you can buy to, like, data mine old phone storages. Like,
I don't know. It's crazy. I like, because you have so much stuff happen to you that you wish you recorded.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, you have to believe other people's stories, but
that's always the hard part, right? Is like, I've had people come on and tell the most craziest fucking stories where I'm like, that was for sure something.
Yeah.
And then, you know, go Eagles, we're talking about scary stories right now. You're perfect timing.
I got tons of them. Okay, I found it. It's just loading. Hold on. Okay.
Is it?
So we're just doing little like EVP sessions.
Okay.
And then listening back. So it's me and my two friends.
We just got this whisper. Listen to this.
What the fuck?
We just got this whisper. Listen to this. What?
Sounds like they're saying I laid on the DNA, but I don't think that's what they're saying. But I showed that to the leader, and they were like, "This is one of the best EVPs we've ever done."
I mean, that straight up sounds like someone was like, if this was the EVP, they're like,
Hey, bitch.
yeah.
That's what I would do if I was a ghost.
Yeah.
What up, bitch?
What up with it?
Yeah.
So
So that was cool to have it on video and like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because now I mean, that's evidence.
Yeah. It's cool, like, my boyfriend, when we didn't live together and he lived in his mom's house, I'd go down the stairs and I'd always see a man in the corner.
Okay.
And I'd just be like, yeah, hello. And then I'd walk past, right? I'm like, okay. Knew it wasn't a real person. I knew it was like a spirit or something. But I was
Right.
still back in my mindset of like, I'm just going crazy. But then I asked him, I was like, I have this feeling where like, if I'm in a room with a spirit, I feel almost what they feel like sickness-wise, you know?
Okay.
So, like, this is my first time it really validated for me as I went downstairs and I sat on the couch and I was like, did an old guy in his, like, 60s used to live here? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, did he have cancer? He did have cancer. And he's like, yeah. I was like, is it, like, in his kidneys? Because my back was hurting down here. And he's like,
Oh, shit.
yeah. I can't remember what his name was, but I was like, what's his name? And he was like, yeah. And so, those were, like, really validated me.
Okay, so explain to me, like, does it just come to you? Or, like, do you hear it? Like, do you hear someone say, my name's... It just, like, is in your body?
I just feel it. Like, you know, like, it almost feels like I'm putting a story in my head almost, like, oh, he probably had this or what, you know, just like, but then you say it out loud and they validate it and you're like, oh, that's what it feels like.
Does it feel like you're coming up with, like, a fake, well, not fake, but, like, you're coming up with a story that
like
might make sense?
Yeah, like you're writing a story in your head almost.
Yeah.
So for the longest time, I thought I was going crazy, and then now it's happened a few times. Like, every time I get with people and tell my paranormal experiences, I have a reputation of usually they'll have a paranormal experience.
Okay.
In the next few days. I'm sorry. But
I'm going to come in here and my Dybbk Box is going to be...
Yep. I was with my coworker and she didn't believe in that stuff, and I was telling her my stuff and she's like, oh, that's crazy. And then went home and I woke up for 30 calls from her.
Oh, shit.
And she's like, I slept in my car. I was like, what happened? And she was on FaceTime with her mom. Her bed was shaking at like 3 a.m. She got up and her mom saw a man standing behind her in her doorway. Like, could tell what clothes he was wearing. Like, he had a couple buttons undone. For some reason, she said he looked like Kevin Spacey, which is fine, whatever. Yeah. But then she didn't see it, and she like turned around and like walked through him while her mom was, and her mom does not believe in that shit. And it was just like way too coincidental that it happened, because she had been living in that apartment for like a year.
Right.
Nothing happened, and so I went in there and I like communicated with him, and like I went in there and instantly my ears started burning. Even when I talk about this, my ears start burning, but. I was like, I feel like he was, like, in his 40s, and he's just really upset because he had, you know, like, his life was just, like, he had a career he's excited about, and he died something stupid, like the flu.
Yeah.
And, like, a fever. And so I get this fever. I got this fever so bad, and like, I was like, you should go ask the landlords, like, you know. And she's like, so she went and asked them, like, was there someone here that died? And all they would say was, people die all the time. So, yeah, I like went in there, and I just had this feeling of I just felt like what kind of guy this was, and he just was grumpy and wanted his space. He wasn't like mean, but he wanted his space.
Yeah, I get it.
And she was terrified, like, she's just terrified. And so I went in there and I like talked to him, and I used a flashlight to communicate, and like it was just so tense. We actually ran into Mormon missionaries on the way up to her apartment. And I just had this feeling, I was like, well, let's get them in here and just, say a prayer, see if that helps, whatever. And it happened to be their first day as a missionary. I felt so bad. I felt so bad, but they went in there and like they were praying, and they were shaking, and like they immediately left after, like, we can't stay here anymore. You could feel her dogs were like, all their hunches were up, and so yeah, I talked to him and I was like, hey, Ashley, do you ever feel like, because I felt like for some reason I felt like he was just a neat freak, and he didn't like that there was stuff in his space. So I was like, do you ever like put something somewhere and then you come back and it's put away? She was like, what the fuck? Like earlier that day she had set her jacket down and walked back in the room and it was hung up. And so like,
he just wants tidy shit.
Yeah,
clean house.
She's so scared. I'm like, dude, ghosts are just people, It's like, I talked to him, I was like, dude, she signed a lease. Like, just be a good roommate, chill out, like, whatever, and nothing happened after that ever again.
So I want to run across an idea, and I'm curious your opinion. And this is going to kind of have a little bit of...
We're so off topic with the
That's fine.
Okay.
This might bring it back in a way.
Okay.
So, I grew up, I don't believe in a God.
Okay.
And I don't really believe in necessarily an afterlife as far as like what we think might happen.
Yeah.
However, I do think that there is some form of what we consider paranormal right now that exists in our dimension, in our reality, and we just don't know how to explain it yet. And I've come to the conclusion in my head what makes the most sense is if we're beginning to learn that we can leave, like, we generate energy, right? Like we're living organisms, we generate energy. That maybe, like, this is all my theory in my head that I just don't know if it really makes sense, but maybe talking to someone else who is in the paranormal world will make sense. What if, like, events, like a man who's so happy about his career and he dies because of like something so silly, that would be...
My ears are burning so bad ever since I talked about it, sorry.
It'd be such an emotional output of energy that maybe it imprints itself in our reality for that time being, and it'll forever be there until that energy just kind of disperses.
I believe that.
Over time. And I don't know how, like, I don't know if we just aren't technology, or we don't have the technology to like actually visibly like truly see what's going on, but I really think like there could just be something there that our eyes can't see because we just don't. It's in a different space, I guess you could say.
I see it as like, I mean, everyone has their own opinions, but I see it as like a human body is a tool. That's not us. Right. Like our spirit is who we are and whatever. So I think spirits are like people, like they are the people, and they're there.
Yeah.
Because there's so much proof that there's not. Like there's so much proof that they're there.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And energy's such a big thing. Like when you're in a room full of people and someone's bad, you can feel it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Like you can walk in and feel their emotions, and I think they get attached to places that something dramatic happened, or some place that they love, or
That's why I think like places that we know are haunted because of like, well, I don't want to even say haunted. I don't know if haunted's a good word anymore, but like we use Gettysburg for example. All the famous people go there and just hear tons and tons of EVPs and see crazy shit all night long. I wonder if it's because there's just so much drastic energy being like thrown out to the world because like your emotions are at a peak. You're fighting like potentially brothers and relatives, and like I wonder if that just like all that energy just really imprinted in that time period, because like time's not relative. Like we create time, but time isn't just a linear thing. So like that energy could still just be there doing its thing.
Yeah.
And we're just not able to visibly experience it, but it's there. It's hard to explain, because like if you don't believe in paranormal or anything, this probably just sounds like mumbo jumbo, but when you start having some experiences that you can't explain and you don't think like there's, you know, like if you don't believe in like an afterlife but you have experiences, you try and figure out ways to explain it. And I'm very cynical with my beliefs, because like, or with paranormal, because if there's something, I want it to be true.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be my excitement for there to be like, you know, a cool experience.
Yeah, and like to each their own, but like for me, I have a hard time not believing there's an afterlife. I don't know what it is. I don't understand, but like I've had so many like family, like my step-aunt had cancer and she was like hours from death, and she like hadn't talked for days because she was so sick, and she just all of a sudden just started laughing. She's like, "Hi, Mom." And her mom had died 40 years ago. You know, like I know multiple stories like that.
Yeah.
You know, so I do believe in people are still here.
I have a crazy story for you then that I actually just learned from my mom like last week. So, and this is, you know, more personal, so sorry for those who don't want to hear like too personal stuff, but so my great grandpa actually had suffered a lot of strokes and several heart attacks. And for like the latter 10-15 years of his elderly life, he couldn't fully talk. Like, you know, he would say like 2 or 3 words. It was usually "God damn it," and no one knew what he was like. No one knew what he was damning. And it was hilarious. But like he was still like mentally there, as far as like he could understand his surroundings. For a while, he could go up like with assistance, go and use the bathroom and like kind of do it on his own. But like he couldn't like formulate cohesive sentences, and like, you know, if you asked him what he wanted for dinner, he'd be like, "God damn it," and just kind of point. You know. And I talked to my mom last week, and she told me the story of like the day before he passed. And she said that she knew something, because she's worked in the CNA like elderly care business for her whole life pretty much. She's been around a lot of death. And seen a lot of interesting things. And she said it was so weird. He acted completely different the whole day, wanted to go to his room without eating, and then when he got in there, he looked in like a corner of the room and was talking full sentences to somebody and saying, this makes me emotional because I love my grandpa, but said like, "Hey, I'll see you soon," and was like having a conversation and laughing with somebody.
It's like, how do you not believe in something, you know, when you hear that and like, know that they can't form sentences? And
like the longest sentence that I heard in that, like the last 10-15 years of his life was like, "God damn it, I want food," or something like that. And that was it. And she said that he was having a full-blown intellectual conversation with someone under his breath, but she could hear full sentences of words. And to this day, like, you know, who knows? You know, who knows what he was talking about or who he was talking to? And like, you know, I know that we've learned that when you dream, you release tryptophan or whatever, and when you die, you release a whole bunch of it. And when you're actively dying, it could start releasing. So I think maybe it was releasing, and maybe whatever he was, that release maybe triggered something in his head to like be able to formulate.
I questioned it too. But then I heard a story of one of the ladies I was in my ward who I was really close to. She her sister was like on her deathbed, in the hospital, and she went to go visit her, and the nurse was like, "Oh, I just talked to your other sister. She was just here checking in on her." She said she hadn't seen her in a long time. She was like, "What sister?" Because her other sister lived across the country. She was like, "Oh, Carol." She was like, Carol had been dead for 20 years. She was like, "Carol?" She's like, "Yeah, she had the bright red curly hair." And she was like, "Yeah, she was just talking about how excited she was to finally see her again." And that was crazy to hear that someone else also saw that person.
Yeah.
You know? Like, it makes you wonder if they're really seeing someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things where, you know, it's like the best way I can describe my thought process is like afterlife is like a romantic idea to me.
Yeah.
In a way, because like,
yeah, I get that.
I grew up not thinking like, I thought when you were gonna, like, when you die, you're dead.
Yeah.
And my whole life I've been like, man, I really want there to be something. And we're starting to see proof of like there potentially being something, or like maybe your energy doesn't completely disappear when you die, or maybe there is like a next step. And like, it's so romantic to me to think that, because like my whole life, like sometimes it is a downer.
Yeah.
Like on really bad days, it's like, fuck, like, it's over.
Yeah.
But like,
then you start hearing these stories and you're like, whoa,
well,
wait
maybe.
a minute. Yeah.
I do think it's interesting too that when that chemical gets released, and you can take it as well, like DMT is the street name of it. People have told stories of living what they felt like a whole entire life within the time of inhaling the chemical or whatever you want to call it.
Well,
And then like, because like if you guys watch Joe Rogan, I know I'm not the biggest fan of his much anymore, but or you can look up people's stories. It's a natural occurring substance, so it's not
I've
like
never even heard of it.
DMT. It's like, I can't remember it's ditryptyltryptamine, and then the street name of it is DMT. It's a hallucinogenic chemical, and pretty much like when you take it, you inhale, exhale, and then you'll kind of like fall back, and then you go on your trip.
Yeah.
And the weirdest part about it is, you know, it's created by nature, which is weird in itself that something like that will be created by our planet.
Yeah.
But people have not only experienced or claim to experience full lives of other people while under that chemical or under that plant, drug, whatever you want to call it, they have also had similar experiences to other people seeing things. And that to me is really confusing, to think that like, okay, if I take this plant, we'll just call it a drug to whatever. If I take this drug, that I could potentially see the same thing that someone else takes if they take the same drug, but it's a plant. So like, why is this plant showing us?
Yeah.
And then
crazy.
If you want to get into weird, like, you know, deeper stuff, a lot of people think that the burning bush may have been that plant in the Bible. And that when the smoke kind of started creating what we may have known as a little bit more of a consciousness for individuals. But that's a whole other crazy subject that I don't even know if I believe.
Did Bella ever tell you about that meditation video she did?
Yes.
So she told me about it, which is the most hilarious story ever.
Yeah, it's great.
She woke up as a Nazi. But...
Her the way that she delivers that story is so...
She's like so panicked. She's like, I didn't know what to do.
So fucking good.
But she sent it to me and I was like curious about it, but like, oh my god, it's so vivid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it and it was like...
What did you get?
I think it was like late 1800s
Okay.
in England. And I remember looking down and I was on cobblestone and I was delivering newspapers. And I had a weird little hat and I was talking to this girl. And I think I was probably like 14.
Yeah,
vividly, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, that can't just be my brain making that up, because I was so relaxed and like, it was weird.
I mean, that's a service like in the, you know, the Eastern medicine, past life regression hypnosis is a very popular service that is starting to gain traction here in
Yeah.
the States. And I didn't do it myself. I wanted to. I don't know.
You should try it.
It
It's pretty
freaked
cool.
me out a little bit.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You should try because it scared me too. It's like
Yeah.
I'm scared. What if I wake up as a Nazi? Like, Philip, but no, it's cool. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of, it's not scary, but it's like, whoa, this is real. This is real.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I just wonder what it is.
I don't know.
Because, like, the past life regression, if you believe in that, that is pretty much saying that, like, you know, we reincarnate as somebody else.
Yeah.
Which would mean that, is that Buddha who claimed that?
Sure.
I can't remember. One of those guys, philosophers back in
Yeah.
the day. So that would mean that, you know, we're going to pass away and then just start fresh.
That's the interesting thing about like paranormal stuff or stuff like that to think about. You'll never know.
Yeah.
You'll never know. And like, even, you know, that planet you're talking about, like, it's weird.
Yeah.
No one will understand.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's really weird that our planet has created stuff like that that we have ingested, and it's trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about like DMT and different things like that. Is like, or mushrooms, for example. Even though it's kind of gross how they come about, like that's being created by
Nature.
by nature, and specifically mushrooms of fungus, which we have found out to be more intelligent than we understand.
Yeah.
What are they trying to tell us? Anything? Or is it just...
It's so weird to think about.
I also love the new theory that people are floating around, which I don't know
What?
how they're going to prove it.
Excuse me?
What?
People are floating around.
Like a new theory.
Oh, it's
Sorry.
like, who's
No,
floating
sorry.
around?
A new theory that's getting floated around
Okay.
is
Okay.
that the universe itself is actually a consciousness, and that when we die, what we are is kind of like in our brain we have receptors.
Yeah.
Our consciousness is actually a brain receptor for a bigger one, and it takes our knowledge. It takes our knowledge that we got here, translates it to the big brain, and that's like it learning something, and then that receptor comes right back, and we do it again.
Oh, to think of stuff like that, it doesn't scare me. It's just like, it's just shocking to think about.
If it's real,
Like,
then we're just a brain receptor for a bigger brain.
I hate talking about like space.
Oh,
and,
space
like,
is so scary.
Like, not knowing, just not knowing.
Yeah.
Like, that is so scary.
The unknown is scarier than what we
It's-
fucking know.
Ooh, and like in the scriptures, like if it's true or not, they would talk about like how there's like millions of other worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's the thing I always thought was fascinating about the LDS Church is like, technically they should definitely believe in aliens, because like when you get to
Yeah.
Celestial Kingdom,
Yeah.
you pretty much become a alien to your own planet in ways,
yeah,
in like a weird roundabout way,
Yeah.
but it's creepy.
I don't know. I don't know.
creepy.
It stresses me out to think about. It's like my brain can't handle it.
So we're at an hour and a half. Do you want to push for 2? Or are you feeling?
It's up to you. I'm good.
Yeah,
Whatever.
let's do it. So aside from paranormal, because I imagine we could probably talk paranormal and true
Yep.
crime for eternity.
Mhm.
I'll have to have you back on, and we can do a
Okay.
full paranormal.
Cool.
Let's talk about TikTok.
All right.
And you've seen some pretty good growth on there.
Yeah.
You're up to how many?
26,000.
26,000. Has it? Because like when I first heard of TikTok, it was
Mhm.
Musically, and it was very like you just avoid that app.
Cringy as hell.
Yeah, cringy.
Teenager. Lip syncing. I was like, ugh.
Yeah, and the I remember the ads that they were pushing, and it was like exactly what people who hate TikTok think it is, like
Yeah.
half naked, lip singing,
Ugh.
trying to be like thirst trappy.
Yeah.
TikTok is not that. There is aspects of it for
Mhm.
sure, and some of the more popular trends are definitely thirst trap trends. But at its core, TikTok does a really good job of catering content to you that they think you want to see.
For the longest time, I just was like, nope, because I was such a Vine fan.
Yeah,
like,
same.
And then I think I watched a YouTube video that was like TikToks that give off fine energy, and I was like, oh, so there's actually funny people on here, not just cringy. And so I joined, and I spend like 10 hours a day watching that shit. I'm serious.
I'm on TikTok too much.
But yeah, I enjoy it.
So where did you make Vines as well?
I did. I never got really big on Vine or anything, but I've always loved creating and making videos, and that's my passion.
I guess before we get into TikTok, have you done other content creation like YouTube and
no, because I've always wanted to, but I've been holding myself back because I guess I've never been successful at any of it.
Okay.
And now that I have been like many followers, I'm like, oh shit, like maybe I can do this, and maybe I should pursue it. And
absolutely,
it's validating. But so yeah, like growing up, I've always made home videos or stupid little whatever. I just really enjoy entertaining people. That's what I want to do. I'm not sure yet. Yeah. But
I mean I'm definitely always been the person that says, hey, fucking send it.
Yeah.
Cause like you really never know. Like I mean, I always tell people who are like you're not on the fence. You're involved in TikTok.
Yeah. Well, I still get very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always tell people like who's your favorite either influencer or content creator. If you were to give me, or maybe a list, doesn't have to be like an all-time favorite.
That's so hard. Like my original favorite YouTuber is Jenna Marbles.
Yeah, oh yeah.
She kills me. She's so funny.
Classic.
But I've watched so many vastly different kinds of people,
So I always ask people that question, and then I follow up with saying, who was Jenna Marbles before she started? Just another one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's true.
And I really think that like we live in the time period where it's like, because you are a natural born entertainer. I can tell by how you tell your stories.
Thank you, God bless.
And if you just fully send it,
but like
it's scary.
I hold myself back because I have really bad self-confidence, and so I like. My family's like, you need to start a YouTube channel. And I'm like, I don't. So I like hold myself back, but I'm starting to like, oh, maybe I really could. Getting that validation from people,
Yeah.
So
validation definitely helps.
It really does.
It does.
Yeah.
Because I mean, for the longest time, like I always thought I was just doing dumb shit, like wasting my time.
Yeah.
But then like you start getting people who actually care about self-confidence. We all
honey, I'm still going through it.
Yeah, I still struggle with it. Every day, every Friday, because I typically do Topshelfers on Fridays, sometimes Saturdays. Friday at like noon, I start getting stressed.
Yeah,
I'm
understandably.
Like,
yeah.
Oh god, I look like shit. I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna look big on camera. Like, someone's gonna come in and say some fucking rude shit. But then, like, when I start doing it, I'm like, I love this.
Yeah.
And trolls are going to be trolls and haters are going to be haters, but...
Yeah. Wow, that surprised me about TikTok because I rarely got any trolls on my TikTok comments, which really... And I was kind of worried about it because I have so much, like, low self-esteem. But people aren't as bad as you think.
No.
It really surprised me how many good people there are, aside from the bad people.
I think TikTok specifically is really, like, depending on which, like, community you're involved in or content that you get catered.
Yeah.
It's really a lot of positive people who just really want to see other people succeed.
Yeah. And I love that, like, you'll look on videos and trolls will say something and thousands of comments will be, like, coming at them, and I'm like, I love that. Like, I think that's cool.
Because we're getting past, like, I remember when trolling really kind of started defining itself as like a internet thing.
Yeah.
Like it was a good way for people to be like dickheads and just be, no, I'm just trolling.
Yeah.
And now we're kind of starting to see like a shift back to like, we aren't cool with trolling on most areas.
Yeah.
People will always troll. There's never going to be no trolls. Mm-hmm. But I think we're kind of getting to the point where it's like, trolls are no longer just getting ignored in comment sections. They're getting told, hey, you're a fucking asshole.
I love it. I love it so much. So good.
I saw one of my favorite ones a couple of days ago. Do you know who Meg Turney is?
Oh, that sounds so familiar. Who is that?
So she's a cosplayer, and she used to do stuff with like Rooster Teeth and Achievement Hunter. If you're familiar with them,
That sounds so familiar.
you know what Red versus Blue is? The
Yes.
Halo thing.
Yeah.
They're the creators of that. And
Oh, okay.
She
Okay.
dates. Do you know who the slow mo guys are?
Yeah.
She dates Gavin.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have followed her on social Instagram ever since she got involved with Rooster Teeth, and she does post like, kind of more lewd cosplay content,
Yeah.
and sometimes her comment sections are disgusting and sometimes they're funny. Well, some dude the other day commented and said basically like, I wouldn't like. I wonder how Gavin feels that you're letting another guy take these type of pictures of you. And then she just commented, "You radiate small dick energy."
I love it. I love it so much.
What's up,
Like,
Parker? James? What's up, man?
I remember I just always ignored him. Like, I'd laugh because other people would take care of him
Sure.
for me, whatever. But there was one where a kid, he called me. There's one where I'm Guy Fieri in a pool, and he called me like a beluga or something, and I was like, whatever. But then I went to his page, and I saw that he was like 15, maybe.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, it's going down. So I looked at his handle, found his Snapchat, didn't know who I was, talked to him for a minute, found out his last name, looked up his mom on Facebook. And I sent her a screenshot and was like, keep in mind his mom wasn't a skinny woman.
Yeah.
So I sent her a screenshot of what he said on my TikTok. I think he got in a lot of trouble because his account was deleted.
Got him.
But they just need to be put in their place sometimes.
They do. What's up, Simtex? How you doing? Creepy. Got him. Yeah, fucking straight got him.
Got him.
I think that TikTok though is really, for anyone who still refuses to get on TikTok, give it a shot. I'm telling you, and then you don't have to it's cool because once you start liking things, they will filter your feed to what you like, so you don't have to deal with cringy lip sync videos. I know. I always tell people who are still anti TikTok, they're like, "What do you even watch?" And I'm like, most of the time I get conspiracy, true crime, podcasting, funny clips, and they're like, "You get that on TikTok?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, what about all the other trend stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll see." They'll come across if they're really trendy, but I don't know.
For some reason, I'm now on the drug cartel TikTok.
I just got on the drug cartel TikTok.
Oh my god! I sent it to my boyfriend. I was like, "Why is this happening to me? This feels illegal."
It was just stacks and stacks and stacks of cash and drugs, and I'm like, "What the hell?" From an outsider, it seems like it's only girls dancing and annoying stuff. That's the front of TikTok. I won't lie, but there really isn't. I can tell you, maybe I'll get one girl dancing, maybe every 100 TikToks.
James, I just want you to know that I am on TikTok and I am Guy Fieri, so and people watch it. So.
Indeed, Guy Fieri. Yeah. Confirmed.
Yeah, confirmed.
I think the only girl that I even see anymore that's popular is Bella Porsche. She does the weird she just kind of moves her mouth around and she's tattooed.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I didn't know her name.
That's the only one that I ever see. And her
fine.
content's it's not for me, but it's not super.
They talk about oh, I don't want to see Charlie D'Amelio because she just posts dumb shit with her lip syncing, and I'm like, I have never had one of her videos.
I've never seen one of her videos.
You need to try it because
I think it's age too. When you punch in your age, it automatically puts you in demographics that would make sense for you.
Yeah.
But if I would have punched in 15, I'm probably gonna get her content. I don't. She's just. I remember when she first started getting popular, I'm like, oh, what does she do? And then it was just kind of dance videos. Yeah. And now it's just turned into it's just her face because she makes millions of dollars, I guess. Yeah. And that'd be cool.
To each their own.
So I'm 30 in 10 days, so does this still apply? Yeah,
Put in your birthday. Maybe you'll get some orthopedic TikToks.
Massage TikToks.
Old people TikToks. No offense.
Nah, I'm getting fuck. I'm getting close to 30. It drives me nuts.
I'm turning 25, and I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm 20. I'm turning 27 this year.
I still feel like I'm like 13. I have like, well, I'm either 13 or I'm 80. There's no.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy a good fart joke. Like, I'm 13, but I also take naps and go to bed early.
I drink honey tea so I can feel happy.
I love cranberry juice.
Yeah, cranberry juice is
love
great.
It. Shit's lit.
Shit is fire. So what do you really want to... Because we talked prior to this, and you kind of floating the idea of podcasting. And then as far as like TikTok and other media goes, do you have like a... If you were to say like, this is my goal or dream or whatever, like what would you really want to be doing? Like as far as like content creation goes.
I think, I mean, keeping up on TikTok, I really do love it. Doing that in the future. And the more I keep thinking about a podcast, like, I love talking about things I'm passionate about, you know?
Same.
Like, that's the dream job, right? So, the more I think about that, it'd be awesome. Like, I just want to reach out to people and hear other people's stories and, you know.
It's a fun... It's honestly exactly what people think it is, and it's amazing.
It is amazing. And, like, I have met so many new friends.
Yeah.
That are fans or whatever. That, like, so stupid, but like we've exchanged numbers and like that's crazy. Like, have you been
noticed in real life by somebody?
Once.
Yeah, I had one for me too, and it was the weirdest experience of my life.
Feels weird, huh?
I was at Taco Bell. I was a Taco Bell employee.
Hell yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, did you do that podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, it's cool." And I was so fucking awkward. Because, like, I just...
What do you do? Like,
I just go about my day because, like, I really... Not that I don't... I think about my podcast almost every minute that I'm awake. But, like, when I'm out and about, like, I just don't think, like,
Taco Bell's a safe space.
Yeah. Give me my ball hop. And he said that, and I'm like, "Oh, thanks, man." And then, like, I think he was looking for... Like, he was expecting me to say something else. And we just kind of looked at each other for, like, way too long.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'm going to go grab your food." I'm like, okay. It's just, I felt so awkward.
I remember, like, one time I tweeted Seth Rogen and he favorited it, and I lost my shit. I was like, oh my god, look who favorited me or whatever. And then I posted a TikTok and some girl commented, and she's like, "Notice me." And I was like, "Hi." And she's like, "Oh my god, you know what?" I'm like, this feels weird being on the other end. Like, it doesn't feel real, like... It's weird.
TikTok,
it's just weird.
That's what I also love about TikTok is just like, not only if you make great content, like they do such a good job at like really pushing it to people. Yeah. Well, besides the shadow banning shit that they just don't explain well. Yeah. But like we could literally like overnight someone could become a great influencer, like 420 Dogface.
God bless that man.
God, he was the savior of 2020. And you want to know how I know TikTok works as far as influencing? There's fucking ocean spray in my fridge right now.
I went today and got coffee that I saw on TikTok. Yeah? A coffee order. Yeah.
It works. TikTok
I'm telling you.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I never thought I was going to ever... I never even knew of ocean spray until that video.
It's magic. Now you have to sing Fleetwood Mac every time you drink it.
Every time.
Yeah.
And then she made a fucking TikTok.
Yeah, that was crazy how many celebrities like...
She's a confirmed witch, right?
Yeah, she's the White Witch.
Yeah, because she doesn't age. She looks
exactly the same. She's like Paul Rudd in that department.
I always forget Paul Rudd's what, like... Isn't he close to 50?
He's like 21 forever. But he's like 50.
I wish. Yeah.
No.
The dream to be able to
dream.
Look that. I don't know. I think you should do a podcast. It's tough.
I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, it is a very flooded market. That's what I always tell people. Like, it's flooded. And I'm not popular by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just trying to, you know, dig out my little hole here in Salt Lake. But, you know, there's...
That's why you got to do it, you know, because you love it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I know, God... close to 100 other podcasts that are all within 50 miles of here. Okay. You know, it's a flooded market, but the community is pretty fantastic as far as like other podcasters. Everyone just wants to come on and be on each other's shows, you know, spread the word. And there are some assholes for sure.
Yeah.
And some people who are definitely only in it for the...
Yeah.
There's lots of money to be had in the right places, but they don't last.
I think this was really like tonight was like, should I do it coming into this? And now I feel really confident. Like, you're really good at it. And you make me feel like I can do it.
I think if that's what you want to do, you can easily kill it. You know, because it's just, whenever I have new guests on that I never know, it goes one of two ways. Either they're so timid that they don't want to open up, or it starts flowing. You've started flowing, like, right off the bat.
Thank you.
And, like...
I was so nervous it was going to be awkward.
And, you know, and it's not that there's no problem with people who are timid, because sometimes, like, bright light, cameras, mic, like, there's an audience, like, it can be definitely overwhelming, but, you know, people who just want to try it, like, I don't see the problem in at least giving 10, 15 episodes ago, and then if you're like, maybe I'm not that passionate about it, but...
See, like, I know I would be, because I think, especially from TikTok, I feel so comfortable, like, putting myself out there now, and just being myself, and people like it or they hate it, and there's, I mean...
Well, and plus, I am willing to bet money that you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of not only myself, but a lot of these other podcasts have been going for a while because of your TikTok audience.
Wow.
If you could even bring over, you have 28,000. If you could bring over like 2% of that, like right off the bat, that's huge.
That is huge.
You know, there's people who pay tens of thousands of dollars to companies to try and get them to like 8,000 listens a month.
Yeah.
You know, 8,000 listens a month is kind of like that's when you break into being like, I'm a fucking well-known podcast.
Really?
Yeah. Like, that's kind of like if you're pulling in that number, you're like, okay, I have enough listeners that I can really start venturing into like getting big boy sponsors.
Yeah.
But and if you could bring in, you know, 'cause I get my views from quantity of content, you know, but you hop in there and you're pulling in 2,000 to 3,000 listens a month right off the bat. Leaps and bounds ahead.
Oh man.
Leaps and bounds ahead.
Oh man.
But you know, it's not all. There's definitely work. You know.
Oh
like
yeah,
everything.
it's hard work. Yeah.
You know, you gotta. If you decide to run multiple cameras, editing's boring.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, all that stuff is not fun to talk about, but
I will be putting your podcast on my TikTok. So
thank you. Appreciate
Make everyone listen.
No, I think that it's an easy transition too from like, hey, I'm doing a podcast that you can listen to on Spotify, iTunes, because all that is just pretty much plugged in now. You don't even have to apply for companies anymore. Easy transition to be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm also doing this video on YouTube. And you could do a whole different stream of content if you wanted.
I know, I was looking on your TikTok and you had the different links and I just kept going.
Yeah.
I was like, God damn, like, you upload a lot of content. That's awesome.
I've changed how I did it too, because everything used to just be under Topshelfers, but now all the other shows are on their own pages now to try and separate, you know. If there's true crime drunk fans here on this, they're not wanting to watch Topshelfers. They want to watch true crime. So it just felt like it makes more sense to be separate.
Yeah.
Oh, what's up, Bella?
Hello. Bella Vanilla.
That's a great name.
I hope that's Bella that I know.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think you could kill it.
Thank you. I just gotta do it. You know, I always think, I'm gonna do this, and put it off, put it off. But yeah, just go send it.
Yeah.
Just fucking send it.
I mean, I don't know what your, income looks like, but in reality, you could really get into it if you wanted to, if you have a PC already or don't, like that mic right there that works great was $150.
Wow.
You're not. You could break the bank and get like, you know, $600 mics with, you know, I forget all the terminology with the plugins and get it all set up like super fancy, but
yeah.
you know, a lot of people can't just go out and.
Yeah, I don't have a job.
Yes. So I mean, it's not. I've always been of the belief of like, what a lot of people end up being disappointed in themselves is like, they think everything has to be perfect on that first time. You know, the audio has to be perfect. The camera has to be perfect. The setup has to look perfect. Like, in reality, if you start and you just make the content, even if it does come out shitty, like our first podcast, the audio was like dog water, as the new TikTok shit talk is. Dog water, no earnings checks. And then over time, like, we were able to put a little bit more money into it, get better cameras, get better mics. And then the viewers love it because they're like, oh, you guys are upgrading. Like,
yeah.
It's cool to see. Like,
yeah.
I think people end up setting themselves up to fail because they're afraid that if it's not perfect, people aren't going to watch it.
You have to start somewhere.
Yeah. Everyone's got to start somewhere.
Bella, I told your past life Nazi story. What a good story that is.
Classic. The fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I really do think I want to do it.
Yeah.
Not just like me saying, Dave. Like, I really am genuinely interested, and I've had people talk to me like, you should do it.
Would you want to stream it, or do you think you would just do the audio side?
I think I would stream it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here. I will be more than happy to show you how to set up Twitch and all that type of stuff because it's not we can even do it over Zoom. It's easy to.
Will you be a guest?
Absolutely.
God bless.
Absolutely.
Talk about ghost stuff.
Spooky vibes. Oh my god, it's so sad.
It is a sad story. When I heard it, she was like panicked while she was telling me.
I was telling her because you told it on Read Between the Wines. I was like, you tell that story so fucking well.
Yes.
It just.
Yep.
So good.
It is so good.
I do have a question. Now, this isn't a for sure because I'm still. It depends on a couple things that are going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I might be in the situation of potentially starting a different show. And I'm looking for more. You don't have to be a co-host or people. I want it to be more guest orientated, but I want it to be specific on paranormal. And
hell yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how I would want that to look, but I'm thinking of potentially shifting one of my shows out and starting a new paranormal focused podcast with guests. So if I get that up and running, I would love to have
Contact me. I got millions of stories.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on.
And I have lots of friends I could get on here that have had experiences.
I think that'd be fun because I really love doing the true crime, and I love doing the book club because it's like we have a topic, and I love doing this because my guest is the topic.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I just want to continue making more content that has like that topic.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
No, I totally get that. Like, true crime and paranormal are the biggest passions, and it's weird, and I don't know why I like it so much, but I love it, and yeah, if you ever need someone, I'll be happy to do it.
Perfect. Well, we can go ahead. We're about 2 hours in. Time flies.
Time flies.
So I'm going to do my closing ad read for you guys. I know, it's weird. Ad reads on Topshelfers. Yeah, we're finally making it. So let me read it really quick. The podcast is sponsored by Hepius. It's the #1 place to go for premium CBD that won't break the bank. It's locally owned and sourced here in Utah. It is safe for work, meaning there's no THC. You don't have to stress about that. And they have something for everyone. I'm personally using their #2 broad spectrum. Kind of makes me feel uppity. It gives me energy, but it also kind of relaxes my body so I'm not as tense because I have a problem being a little tense. Head over to hepiusmed.com. That is HEPIUSMED.com. Take a look at their products. They keep it really simple and basic. They're not going to confuse you with 10, 15, 20 different products. There's 3 you can choose from. And reach out to their social media and let me tell them where you heard us or heard from them. Heard about their company from.
There you go.
And then for you, where can people find you on TikTok and your other social medias?
I think they're all the same. It's They Call Me Butt.
They Call Me Bud?
Yeah. Fun fact, that's my real last name, if anyone was wondering.
Kailey Bud.
Yeah.
They Call Me Bud.
They Call Me Butt. I think that's my username on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
for
Thank you
taking
for
the time.
having me. This is fun.
And we will definitely talk about planning a return episode where we will
Yes.
dive deep into paranormal.
I would love that.
And thank you guys for listening, whether you're here live with us or you're here on all the other platforms. I appreciate you. Make sure to leave a comment on what you want to see in the future from Topshelfers. Thank you guys. Take care.